Welcome to this special edition of Go Vote Omaha, a candidate forum for Douglas County Assessor, Register of Deeds, presented by the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha. I'm Jasmine Frazier, a League member and the moderator for the forum. The League never supports or opposes political parties or candidates. We present this forum solely for voter education. The format is as follows. Each candidate will get a 1-minute opening statement followed by questions prepared by the League of Women Voters. Each candidate will answer every question and will have up to 90 seconds to answer. Following the questions, each candidate will have a 1-minute closing statement. We will alternate speaking order throughout the forum. A timekeeper will signal candidates when they have 30 seconds of time remaining and when to stop speaking. Before the forum, the candidates drew numbers to determine the initial speaking order. I will introduce them now in that order. There are 3 candidates running for Douglas County Assessor, Register of Deeds. They are Kay Carne, Walt Peffer, and Brian H. Grimm. Let's start with opening statements. Kay, you have 1 minute.
Thanks to the League of Women Voters for hosting these forums. My name is Kay Carne. As an Omaha native, I returned to marry my wonderful husband and raise my children who attend both public and private schools. I'm running to give voters a new choice. In terms of credentials, I hold the Nebraska Assessor certificate and am a formerly licensed certified public accountant, or CPA. I have degrees from Georgetown University, University of Michigan, and Omaha North High School. With more than a decade of experience at a large accounting firm, I worked on many complex financial projects in New York and elsewhere. My experience may be different, but a fresh perspective is often a good thing. If elected, I will focus on delivering fair, accurate, and up-to-date property values for all. The citizens of Douglas County deserve someone who is honest, hardworking, and experienced, and I would work hard for you. Please visit kaycarne.com. I hope to earn your vote, so call with any questions.
Thank you, Kay. Walt, you're up next.
I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. My name is Walt Peffer. I'm married to a wonderful woman, Susan. We have 3 children, and our Christian faith is important to us. I served in the U.S. Army. I'm a Vietnam veteran. The elected assessor has a twofold role that requires someone with management competence as well as strong communication and political skills. I will bring those skills to the office. I have 30 years of high-profile experience in business and government. I have negotiated complex real estate transactions in the Omaha area, studying valuations for both residents and commercial properties. I've served on the staff of 4 Omaha mayors, the last being P.J. Morgan, developing multi-million-dollar municipal budgets, working for the city councils and other government agencies to include the legislature. I was director of the city's Administrative Services Department, providing leadership and managing 3 divisions with 150 employees, saving the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. Thank you.
Brian, 1 minute.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to be here and inviting me. My name is Brian Grimm. I've been married to my wife, Kim, for 22 years. I'm a family man. I have 2 children, Reagan and Ava. Reagan is a freshman at Northwest Missouri State University. Ava is a freshman at DC West High School. I have a unique perspective on this as I'm the only candidate running for this office that has any experience in mass appraisal. Mass appraisal is what our office does, nothing else. We set values with computer modeling, and we apply those models to other properties. I've been doing this since 2006. I have 16 years of experience directly related to mass appraisal, nothing else. This is what I'm good at. This is what I excel at. This is also something that the voters of Douglas County deserve, is to have somebody in the office that knows how to set property values, that has done the job and will continue to do so in the future for the voters of Douglas County. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the questions. Question 1, if elected, what will be your first year priority? Walt, 90 seconds.
My first year of priority would be, 1, to get the appraisal valuations equal and fair. I would also make a point to hold town hall meetings across the city and the county in the county board districts. The idea of those meetings is so that people don't have to drive downtown, take time off of work. pay for parking. This way they can come to an evening meeting, meet with their assessor and meet with staff to try and address some of the concerns they may have about their preliminary valuations. So mostly it's to focus on the assessor's office and the deeds office, because it is a two-prong operation, and give our citizens a chance to express their concerns in a way that they feel they're being respected, and that we can answer their questions.
Brian, 90 seconds.
What I would continue to do is continue to do the job that we're doing. That's my number one priority. We follow state statutes. We set the values at current market values. We follow market trends and the direction of the market. Whatever it goes, that's the direction we have to follow. We have to abide by state statute. What I would say as far as regarding meetings with homeowners, we do those. We do those virtually. People do not have to drive downtown. They do not have to worry about parking. They do not have to worry about going to a place off-site after hours and being drugged away from their families at the dinner table. They can do that virtually. What we found is more and more people are working from home. They have that luxury of being able to do a virtual meeting, a meeting with either a supervisor, they can meet with their personal appraiser, or anyone else that they choose to do so with. That's what I would continue to do as far as looking at for values that are fair and equitable. We do that on a consistent basis. What we do when we value properties is we take the ones that are the furthest away from market, and then we pull those up to market value. We always start low, bring them back up to where they are within market. That's the most fair way of doing the property values, and I will continue to do that for the voters of Douglas County.
Kay, 90 seconds.
My first year priority would be to improve the accuracy of property valuations. I've seen many instances where residential properties are far higher than their actual value and far lower than their actual value. Right now, the system they're using is looking at the cost to rebuild your home and making adjustments on top of that for sales that have happened in similar neighborhoods. I would look at the system that's there and look at new systems that would look at comparable sales. When you sell your home, real estate agents look at comparable sales in similar neighborhoods of similar homes and look at the square footage of your home compared to sales that are happening. That's how a value is determined when you sell your home. I would want to look at a mass appraisal system that looks at sales to value our properties in Douglas County to make them more fair and more accurate for every homeowner.
Thank you. Question 2, how will you ensure equal and fair valuations, and what changes, if any, need to be made regarding property valuations? Brian, 90 seconds.
Having done this job, I know exactly how the mass appraisal system works. I know how state statutes work, and we abide by those. What we do is we take a computer model and we apply that model through sales. We do not use replacement cost new. What we use is replacement cost new less depreciation. I take a custom depreciation table that I build every year based on 18,000 to 19,000 valid sales that are verified with the state of Nebraska every year. I calibrate that model every year of those 18,000 to 19,000 valid sales. Having done this, I realize what it takes to do the job and get things as close and as fair and equitable as they can be. You can figure that there are some that are in that multitude of properties that get revalued. Those are going to be called statistical outliers. Those do not necessarily match a market model, a cost model, or an income model. We hit about 95 to 96% accuracy that can be measured. Don't take my word for it. What you can always do is do a records request for properties that go to the Board of Equalization compared to what is actually revalued every year. What I have done is I have taken that and I have lowered the percentage of properties that go to the Board of Equalization from 11% to just under 5%. That's an accomplishment, especially in a market that we are in right now, which is a record market. Previously, that was in a flat market of about 3 to 4%.
Kay, 90 seconds.
I would ensure, as I discussed in the previous answer, I would ensure that valuations are equal and fair for all by looking in detail at the system we have now. I've heard from many voters that their valuations are not accurate. I've also heard that they sit for many years, 2 or 3 years at the same value, and take a large jump up in a single year. My goal would be to have a system where property assessments happen every year for every home, so that we would see smaller changes each year as the market moves, making all properties throughout Douglas County accurate and fair.
Walt, 90 seconds.
Well, as I said in my opening, there's more to the assessor register of deeds office than just setting valuations. You're supposed to be provide management, comprehensive oversight of employees, cross-training. That would help a lot in setting valuations to make sure we train. There's more for the assessor, the leader of that operation, to do than just sit at a computer and do comps and compare notes. It's to run a total operation, all of the employees in the assessor side and in the deed side. You're also supposed to work with the county board, and you're supposed to work with the citizens. As far as what do you do, I hear the same complaints. Valuations are out of whack. Yes, there are state statutes that require you to set valuation between 92 and 100%. But in the market we've had with wild swings, I'm not sure why anyone didn't go down to Lincoln, talk to the legislature, and say, until these wild swings stop, let's just cap swings at 3% and then go from there. So I would work with the employees, cross-train, and then work with the legislature to try and take care of some of the issues we're seeing in these wild swings.
Question number 3. How is racial equity factored when assessing values of minority-owned neighborhoods or in appeals of value? Kay, 90 seconds.
Well, I've seen from the statistical data at the state level that there are certain neighborhoods in Douglas County that are valued higher than their actual value. And those neighborhoods generally are North Omaha and Benson. So the people in those neighborhoods are often paying more in taxes than their fair share. I've also seen other neighborhoods that statistically, very high dollar homes being undervalued, $1 million, $2 million homes being undervalued. Now, I don't think that this is a racial issue per se, but it's an issue of accuracy and making sure that everyone in our community is in fact paying their fair share. I do think that when values are going up like they have been, that we need to think about and look at the tax levy and have more discussion around the tax levy. So if assessments are going up significantly, talk about bringing that tax levy or the tax rate down so that we're not seeing continued increases in taxes unless there's really a good reason for that.
Walt, 90 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not sure that there is a racial issue. I know that the state came in, I think, 4 years ago and looked at the valuations that the current assessor is using and found, I think, that the values east of 72nd were lower than they should have been. And I think requested that they increase those values to make them more comparable with the rest of the city. But I too see certain situations where we have higher end homes that are appraised lower than value. And then I see other homes that are lower in value that are appraised higher than they should be. And that's what causes a lot of confusion and people trying to ask for a meeting with the Board of Equalization. I think the best way to handle something like this is to make sure everything is fair and equal across the board. Before Mike Boyle passed away, he asked the current assessor to provide a synopsis of a home, 2-bedroom, car garage, one bathroom, in north, south, central, west, and southwest, so that he could see if they were comparable. It was never provided. Might be a nice test to see how that all would play out.
Brian, 90 seconds.
Well, I'm going to stick with the facts on this. There is no racial component to this. It is strictly numbers. We break our value areas down into 19 value areas that are loosely based on high school districts. If you look at every one of those that go into the state of Nebraska every year, we just got a report card from them that basically is an A report card. They like the work that we're doing, and they want us to continue to do the work we're doing. If you look at the component that you were talking about, it's the price-related differential. The IAAO standards on that are between 98 and 103%, whichever one of our value areas falls within that criteria. Those are the facts. The facts do not lie.
Question number 4. How will you ensure that taxpayer questions and concerns about valuations are heard? Walt, 90 seconds.
Well, as I said in my opening, one of the things I like to do is when preliminary evaluations go out is hold town hall meetings across the county in each of the county board districts. I would have staff with me, I'd be there. People that have their preliminary evaluations and want to discuss them will be given that opportunity to show up at those meetings. And those meetings are in the evening. Yes, you can do Zoom meetings, but there are a lot of seniors that are not comfortable dealing with Zoom. We would also set arrangements if we can't answer the questions, then they can come downtown, meet with the appraisers, and then if they're still not happy, they have the right to appeal and go to the Board of Equalization. One change I'd like to make for the Board of Eq is when an appraiser makes an appraisal. Right now we have a staff person that goes there and answers those questions that the county board might have. I'd like to have the individual appraiser show up for those meetings that made those assessments, that can answer the questions for the taxpayer, again, at that meeting before the board makes their decision. No matter what, we want to make sure that they have access to this county assessor and understand what they have been offered and what they need to do to take care of their problem.
Brian, 90 seconds.
All of the property owners in Douglas County have access to us 5 days a week other than holidays. They can call us anytime they want. They can come by the office. We're there for them. Having meetings after hours, what I would say is, why do you want to add to the budget? You're talking about off-site leasing. Who gets that contract for those off-site leasings? It's something that doesn't need to be done. We are there for the people the way it is right now. We listen to them. We take phone calls, the virtual meetings, in person. There really isn't anything with the system that's broken. It works. It will continue to work where we're there constantly for the taxpayers. We listen to them. We still follow our state statutes. If people want to talk about the Board of Equalization, we talk about that all year long. If they want to talk about the Tax Equalization Review Commission, we will talk about that whenever they want to. A lot of times we'll have a conversation with one homeowner that'll last an hour to an hour and a half. That's listening to the homeowners. That's being proactive with the homeowners and listening to what their needs are. And I'll continue to do that if I'm elected as Douglas County Assessor, Register of Deeds.
Kay, 90 seconds.
In order to answer citizen and taxpayer questions, I do agree that more citizen and homeowner education is important. And I think having town hall style meetings to explain the process and explain how valuations are determined in general would be a good thing. And I think making sure that homeowners who don't have access to Zoom or don't have access to take time off work have another mechanism to interact with the assessor and Register of Deeds office. So I would hold town hall meetings. I would not be having protest discussions or detailed discussions on a particular house at those meetings. They would be to educate the public and for this office to get feedback and take the concerns of the public and make changes to the process. I want to be somebody who listens to homeowners and listens to the voters and changes things so that they can work better and serve you better.
Next question. What is the process of assessing the value of a property? What variables are considered, and are there any biases that need to be eliminated in the process? Brian, 90 seconds.
The way the process works is, I'm probably the only one that can actually explain this. You take your sales, you verify the sales, that's the first step in the process. We have roughly 60,000 sales that we send into the state every year. per their guidelines. Of those, there are usually between 18 and 19,000 sales that we have to verify to see if those are an arm's length transaction. Those sales are a small subset of a bigger set of data, which is neighborhoods or use types. What we do is we take that small subset of the data, we build models on that, we calibrate models on that. Everything that we do, we strictly look at as a number. We take that number of that small subset and then we apply it to that bigger group of data, and that would be the overall determination for a value. Once we look at that, we also do calibrations on top of that. We calibrate by the neighborhood, by an economic area, by a value area. We also do calibrations based on age. We do calibrations based on exterior type. We also do calibrations that are based on the economic life of a property. I don't expect the other two to know this answer because they have not done that. I have, and I will continue to do that. There is only one way of doing that, and it's looking at things strictly as a number. Unfortunately, I know that sounds a little harsh, but that's the way you have to be in this office. You have to be pretty calloused and just thick-skinned in order to do the job.
Kay, 90 seconds.
I think we need to have a new way of looking at the values of properties. I think we need to be looking at comparable sales because that's how the value of a residential property is determined in the real world. So I think that we need a new system that'll look at comparable sales and not the cost to rebuild your home. I think that there are biases or things that need to be corrected in the system now. I've talked to voters and homeowners who have an extra building on their property, or who weren't having their second floor counted for some amount of time, or who had a basement added onto their house. So this is a very, like Brian said, this is a complicated job. There's a lot of data, there's a lot of moving parts, and it's a very complicated process to value hundreds of thousands of properties each year. I think we need a new system for that. I think we need to evaluate the processes, evaluate how we're checking homeowner data, square footage, type of home, all of the details that go into valuing a single property. And I think we need to look at using comparable sales to make things more accurate on an individual property basis.
Walt, 90 seconds.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree in that we do need to look at a new model for modeling that will take into consideration any number of things from comparable sales, square footage. I would shrink the zones that are presently set up as a school, and they check that as school zone. I'd narrow it down to neighborhood, so you're more looking at homes comparable to homes in your neighborhood. I too have run across people that have said that their house next to them is different than, is the same as theirs, but their value is higher. And why would that be? If you have the same square footage and you have the same finish and the same materials, it should be comparable. And that's one of the things we're going to need to address. But the real concern gets to be is when you see homes that sold for $3 million, and I've seen this. And if you're setting them based on the sale price, and then a year later you see that 1.6 million, then you've got some questions. You also, the assessor also has to deal with commercial properties. And in commercial properties, you know, the best way to deal with that type of appraisal is on an income basis, and that's not presently the way it's handled. As to, you know, taking the meetings to the public and saying it's going to add to your budget, I'm not as concerned about the budget as I am interacting with the taxpayers that pay those bills.
Now we've reached closing statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute. Brian?
I just heard Mr. Peffer talk about the income approaches that used on our properties, and about 85% of all of our properties that are commercial related are valued on the income approach, so that is an incorrect statement. Mr. Peffer also stated he put a 3% cap on the valuation. We are in a record market right now. Last year alone, we had about a 14% appreciation across the board. You take an even keel here, 3%, 14, 3%, 14. When you start doing that, what you're doing is coming up with an arbitrary number that doesn't mean anything. Market value is what you have to do by state statute. If you want to talk about real world, talk about a cap on a taxation rate, not a cap on a valuation rate. Also heard Kay talk about costs, that we use replacement cost new. We do not use that. That is an inaccurate statement. We have never used replacement cost new. We use replacement cost new less depreciation. I've also heard both candidates talk about computer system, getting a new computer system. Do they realize that that costs about $2 to $4 million? Probably isn't feasible with the county board.
Kay, 1 minute.
With $1.2 billion in taxes collected from Douglas County property owners, accurate assessments are important. We need someone honest in this role. My plan would be to modernize the office, starting with a new appraisal system that uses primarily comparable sales for assessments. Yes, the county board would need to pay for this, and yes, we would do research on that. But every property would be revalued every year, and this would result in smaller changes because of more frequent valuations. I think having public discussions on lowering the tax levy when the market's going up like it has been is also important. We need to be thinking bigger about how to lower property taxes. For our democracy to be strong, voters need choices, and I will be an honest, hardworking assessor register of deeds for you. Please visit kaycarne.com or call me. I hope to earn your vote.
Walt, 1 minute.
I must have struck a nerve with Brian, because part of the rules of this, you're not supposed to attack anybody on the podium here. So, the May 10th Republican primary will decide who is the next assessor register of deeds. We have seen some strange things happening over the past few weeks. Democrats changing over to Republicans, such as Megan Hunt and Diane Badiata, the current assessor, in order to vote in the Republican primary. You may want to consider who you vote for. I've been endorsed by such stalwart Republicans as former Governor Dave Heineman, former Mayor Hal Dobb, former Douglas County Sheriff Tim Dunning, Congressman Bacon, all the Republican members of the Omaha City Council and the Douglas County Board. I'm listed on the Nebraska Embracing Life Registry. This is a reason I'm endorsed. The officials that know me know that I can do the job. They know that I'm the right Republican for this job. This is a Republican primary. I ask for your vote, and I would be honored to have it. Thank you very much.
This concludes our forum for Douglas County Assessor, Register of Deeds. The League thanks all the candidates for participating. For the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha, I'm Jasmine Frazier, reminding you to inform yourself about the issues and candidates. And in the primary election on May 10th, go vote Omaha.